Here's the underside of the power supply that is for my Zenith 1951 giant circle TV. I'm going to rebuild it. Now I've checked these power resistors, this can resistor and these resistors here. All the resistors are good. This bumblebee cap, it's a .001. That I'll replace. And I'll also replace the electrolytic. Now I did some checking with the electrolytic in circuit, and two of the sections of this electrolytic are, for all practical purposes from what I can see, are dead. There's very little capacitance. I think one is supposed to be 40 and the other is supposed to be 20. But very little capacitance, just like the two cans and two sections of the third can on the chassis. But here is something very important to observe, at least for me, that is. Now replacing this electrolytic, you know, if I were not really thinking, you know, I would connect all of the negative parts of the electrolytic to this chassis ground here. And that's incorrect. That's actually not, if you've seen in the pictures in this video, there are two different grounds. This ground cable here, which comes out of the cable that plugs into the TV, connects to the chassis of the TV. And this ground cable connects to the can of the electrolytic, and the electrolytic is isolated from this chassis. So this chassis is not common ground to the B+ that feeds the television. So that's something that has to be observed when rebuilding it, to make sure that I don't make a mistake and connect this ground as common with the TV ground. I'm not really sure if that would be a major problem, but nonetheless it has to be followed through. Now, if you saw in the pictures that went by, if you look at the Sam's folder picture, you can't see any difference between chassis ground and the ground that's sent out to the TV. But in the Zenith schematic you can. And that's something that's important to note. Here's what I did so far. I installed this terminal, and this terminal is not grounded, although it looks like it might be. It's isolated from ground. This black ground wire will attach to that. That's the wire that runs out to the television chassis ground. So this terminal, which is isolated from ground, is going to connect up to this wire. This terminal strip here will attach the capacitors. I don't know if I'll have to put any more terminals in it. This, of course, is going to be changed, and the negative end of the capacitors will go to this terminal. So that's what I have so far. Well, I put new caps in this power supply, and I honestly can't say that I'm real thrilled that I did this. The can, the 4-section can, actually checked out pretty good. When I had it out of circuit, I rechecked it, and that can would have worked. How long it would have worked, it's hard to say. I've replaced every other capacitor in the television. I suppose, you know, it wouldn't make any sense to stop with the power supply. These power resistors, including this can resistor here, actually are all good. I checked them. These are usually notorious for going bad. This one isn't. However, being aware of it, you know, I can change it at any time that I need to. But here's my 4 capacitors, 1, 2, 3, 4, to replace the, and then here's the common negative of the capacitors not connected to the chassis, as it is not supposed to be. And like I say, the Sam's folder wasn't very clear on that, whereas the Zenith schematic was. So at this point, I guess I'm done with the TV until I find a test tube, and then I bring the power up and see if I fixed it so nobody can, or if I actually fixed it so it works. We'll find out, but that's probably going to be a while until I do another one. I'm looking for a test CRT for the to test it out on the bench for now.